نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي واجعلني وزيرا من أهلي اللهم فقهنا في الدين اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا وزدنا علما اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه اللهم إن علما نافعا وعملا متقبلا ورزقا طيبا اللهم سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. We were doing our number 60 and we had done almost first portion of it. But first, let me remind you that we were talking about the favors that Allah gave to Israelites, and out of those favors, the most prominent were Allah gave them the shade in the desert, then Allah gave them the food, then Allah gave them the water as well. And there were 12 springs through which the water would gush out. Okay, we did 60 ayat yesterday, and we are on 61 ayat. So now, what are they saying? They are saying that we cannot have patient on one food only. We cannot tolerate just one type of meal, the same meal every day. So just call upon your Lord. So why would they say your Lord? They will use this word, this statement or this phrase time and again because they themselves wouldn't feel the connectivity with Allah. And they would think that Allah will listen to Prophet and Allah might not listen to us because we are just very distant from Allah, basically. So this is their position because of their weak iman. So they said to Musa alayhi salam, "Ask your Lord to give us the food. What kind of food? The crops of earth, that is herbs and cucumbers and garlic and lentils and onion, etc., etc." So Musa alayhi salam scolded them and he said, "Do you exchange what is better for that which is worst?" So this is Musa alayhi salam saying in anger to these people. And then Musa alayhi salam said, "Ihbitu Misran fa inna lakum ma sa'altum." Go down to a settled country, go down to a country. Then for you is whatever you have asked for. So basically, he's saying that since this is what your priority is, then go down to any village that you see and just have what you want. Okay. Uh, and then this is where this conversation ends. And then Allah is mentioning the verdict about them. There was the verdict that Allah passed about these people, and it is mentioned over here. So Allah is saying, وَضُرِبَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ وَضُرِبَتْ عَلَيْهِمُ الذِّلَّةُ وَالْمَسْكَنَةُ وَبَاءُوا بِغَضَبٍ. So these are three things in total, which they got or which they were stricken with, or which basically they earned as a punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because of their attitude towards the favors of Allah, because of their response to the blessings of Allah. However, in the beginning, we remember that Allah said to it twice. We read in the ayahs, and obviously they knew as well that Allah had chosen them, Allah had blessed them, and Allah chose them over all of other nations, and Allah blessed them, Allah gave them a special status. But now the situation is completely reversed, and Allah says, "Vaduribat," and they were struck, alayhim, azillatu, and the humiliation was struck on them, wal maskanatu, and misery. So the first thing, the first punishment is humiliation, azillatu. So they will have humiliation, okay? They will be humiliated It means that they will not have any honor or any izzah on any respect in front of others' eyes now. They will be humiliated time and again. They will be treated like a humiliated nation now. Second punishment is maskana. They will be in a situation of misery now. They will live in misery now. What is misery? Basically, misery is a situation in which you always have a lower hand, in which you cannot have an upper hand. When you have an upper hand, it means that you have robe, okay? And it also means that you are in a stronger position, in a better position as compared to the second party. Whoever is in front of you, you are in a better position. But they will have maskana now. It means that they will always have a lower position in front of people. Whoever is in front of them, they will have lower position, and they will be like asking for help and for favors, etc. They can never have power. Next thing is baba'u, and they drew on themselves, or they got. What did they get? Bighadabim, the ghazab means the wrath of Allah. Bighadabim min Allahi, the wrath from Allah, on extreme anger from Allah. This is the third punishment, and basically they invited the displeasure of Allah. So the ghazab of Allah they are getting, anger of Allah, instead of pleasure of Allah, which is what we are supposed to earn and which is what we worry for. They are getting exactly opposite of pleasure, and that is the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the humiliation in the world, it means both in the world and the hereafter. Okay. So they are getting humiliation, misery, and wrath from Allah in this world as well as in the hereafter because of their sins. They will have to suffer for their sins definitely. So also please remember that these promises are always for the wrongdoers. Allah has used the word zalimin time and again for them. Even when we will study other surahs, we will see that there are certain words that Allah uses. Allah specify those words or those traits for certain group of people. Okay, like this word zalimin, as I told, it is many times it is used in general context as well, but there are times when it is specifically used in a specific context, and we see that it refers to these Israelites always. Okay, so Allah might not name them, but Allah will use the trait with which we will understand that these are the people who are talked about in an ayah. Okay, and we'll go in other surahs, inshallah. I'll keep on basically interpreting, inshallah. This is what we are here for. Okay, so getting back to this ayah, this is what they are getting as a punishment. Um, why is this so? Allah is explaining it again. Though we know why, we know answer of the why in one from one angle. Okay, but there is more to it. There were more things that they were doing. What is that? Dalika bi annahum. That was because they used to Kanu, they used to yakfuruna, they used to disbelieve bi ayatillahi, in the signs of Allah. So this was their first um, disobedience, or this was their first sin, that they would disbelieve in the signs of Allah. Though they were already Muslims, okay, please understand this, that all of them were Muslims. They were not leaving Islam, but what they were doing is that is still being Muslims, they would uh, disobey Allah. They would not fulfill the commandments of Allah, or they will mock the commandments of Allah, the words of Allah, or they would not give value to Allah's words, or they would not prioritize Allah's commandments over their own wills and desires. Rather, they would prefer the love of dunya, the love of themselves, or the love of wealth over what Allah is saying to them. what Allah is commanding them to do. And they would always question Allah's commandments, and they wouldn't fulfill the obligations, and they would show arrogance and ego in front of Allah's ayat. Okay, this all of this also comes under the heading of disbelief. Disbelief is not just the response of the heart, but sometimes your heart might be a Muslim, but your actions are not. Okay. So whether the disbelief is through your heart or through your tongue or through your actions, it is disbelief. It is categorized under the heading of disbelief, and this is first reason why they are facing the punishment. Second reason is وَيَقْتُلُونَ, and they would kill النَّبِيِّينَ, the prophets, بِغَيْرِ الْحَقِّ, without any right, without any purpose. So they would kill the prophets. This is their second issue. Their second issue was that they would unjustly kill the prophets. Okay. So this is also what they used to do. So, and now this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about these sins in journal now. What they were doing over the years. Okay, what Bani Israel was doing, or how they were behaving, or how they were responding over the years. Okay, not just at the time of Musa alayhi salam, but before Musa alayhi salam as well, because Bani Israel started from the times of Yaqub alayhi salam. Okay, and they continued to exist. Even now, these people exist. So even when Isa alayhi salam came, they rejected him and rejected his ayat, rejected the ayat of Allah given to Isa alayhi salam. And then they used to kill prophets as well. So there were Ambiya who basically these people they killed. There are many examples, like if we study this, the Qasasul Ambiya, the stories of the prophets written by Imam Ibn Kathir. If we open this book and see, we will find some of the examples in which we find that they killed some of the prophets. And definitely Allah has not mentioned all of the prophets in Quran Majid. How many prophets are mentioned? Almost 25 or 27. I don't remember exactly, but almost this kind of number it is. So, though how many are there in total? There are around 1,24,000 prophets, and we are just given the names of around 25 to 27 prophets, combining both Quran and Hadith, basically between 25 to 30. Okay, this much of prophets we know. So maximum of the prophets, Allah didn't give us their account, or Allah didn't tell us their names. So there were prophets that were sent to Bani Israel, and they killed them as well. And that killing was completely unjust, and Allah didn't like it. And this is also one of the reasons why these people are given this punishment. So we basically, right now, we need to analyze our own selves. Where do we stand when we read such ayahs? So do we fulfill the obligations of Allah, or we also do not, and we disbelieve with our actions? This is what we need to see. We are just Muslims by name, or we follow His commandments as well. This is what we need to see or need to assess. Second thing is there are no prophets now, so we cannot kill any prophet. But how are we responding to the scholars of Allah, to the scholars of Islam? Like Prophet Muhammad SAW said that scholars are the inheritors of prophets. They are the inheritors of prophets. Usually, children, your own biological children are your inheritors. But in case of prophets, the scholars are inheritors of prophets. So, how do we behave to scholars? Do we mock them? Do we respect them? Do we listen to them? Uh, do we give them time or not? Do we not understand their status, or do we understand their status? Or do we basically do not hurt them? Do we hurt them or not? Or there are people who basically kill the scholars as well. they target the scholars. There is target killing as far as scholars are concerned. So all of these kind of stuff we see in our times as well. So killing the prophets is the worst, but killing the prophets is the worst, but and also killing scholars is definitely also one of the worst things to do. Uh, though murdering anybody, killing unjustly any person is one of the major sins. We know that. The first question that will be asked on the day of judgment in category of Hakukul Ibad, okay? In the category of rights of people, the first question that would be asked would be about murder. Okay, who killed who? This is what would be sorted out, right? So who killed who, it would be sorted out right in the uh, beginning of the day of judgment. Okay, you can hear now. Right in the beginning of the day of judgment. Okay. So the first question in Hakukullah is about Salah, namaz. Okay. After Iman. The first thing that would be judged on the day of judgment is Iman. So people on the basis of Iman would be separated from each other. Disbelievers would be on one side, and people who believe they would be on one side. The first question regarding Hakukullah, or we can say the first question regarding the rituals or the worship, or the first question regarding actions would be about Salah, right? And then in the category of Hukukul Ibad, the rights of people, the first question would be about who killed who, about the murders, okay, the unjust killings. So all kind of killings are prohibited and they are a major sin. But killing scholars is worst, and killing prophets is worse than that. It comes at the top of the list. It tops the list basically. So this is what they were involved in, and we need to see how we behave to the teachings of prophets as well as to the scholars who exist in our time, and are we hurting them or we are not. um, Next is Zalika. That was because Bima, because Asau means they disobeyed. This is because they disobeyed Wakanu Ya'tadun, and they were transgressing. So why would they do that, killing the prophets? Because uh, because of their disobedience. This was the fair reward for them. This was the fair punishment for them because of their disobedience and their ya'tadun. Transgression basically means violation. So they would transgress the boundaries of Allah. They would violate the boundaries or the rules of Allah. That is the reason why that is here getting this punishment. And I think the voice is not going now. That is the reason why they are punished. Can you guys hear me? I cannot see the mic moving. My mic is not moving. Please let me know if you guys are hearing me so I can move to the next ayah. Okay. Now the mic is moving, right? So this ghazab, this maskana, and this zilla that was imposed on them as a punishment, the scholars explain that these punishments are permanent for them. These were not temporarily for those people who were who were present in those times, in times of the prophets of Bani Israel. Rather, these punishments continued unless and until any one of them accepts Islam. Like, for example, in the times of Isa alayhi salam, the people who became Hawari, those were the companions of Isa alayhi salam. They were Muslims. So those definitely they came out of this punishment. And then the Jews who accepted Islam in the times of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they also came out of the punishment. Other than that, this punishment continued and even continues right now, according to scholars. So this is what is their permanent state. Okay, though in Quran Majid, Allah also says that these Israelites, when the people from other nations, they would start helping them, then they will gain power. Okay, this is also what is mentioned in Quran Majid. So this is exactly what has happened right now. Christians who has always been their enemies, and there has always been fights amongst Christians and Jews in history. If we check the books of history, there has always been major battles between them. There has never been major battle in history between Muslims and Jews. Rather, it has always been between Christians and Jews. Why? Because of their beliefs, because of the stark difference between how they took or how they revered Maryam alayhi salam and Isa alayhi salam. This is why they were always fighting and they were always pushing each other out of wherever they basically existed or they lived. So now, since they have become friends, most of the Christians they are now friends with the Jews, especially the major countries, the world powers, etc., who are supporting Israel now and who are basically in favor of Israel. They are Christians, but they are favoring them now. So now, since they have become friends, they are supporting each other and each other's agendas. That is why they are coming out of this situation and they are kind of right now at this position, they are kind of ruling the world. And Muslims are the ones who are humiliated because they left the Iman. They are at the lowest of their Iman now. They are going towards hypocrisy. These Bani Israel were hypocrites who were doing these kind of things. So now, us Muslims, most of us are going towards hypocrisy and having low Iman, not valuing Quran or Hadith, not following them. And ultimately, what we are facing is exactly the same things that they faced basically. Also, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us in one of his hadiths that his nation, this Muslim nation, they would also do the same what the Jews did. They would keep on following the footsteps of Jews, so much so that if the Jews would go in some hole dug in a wall, the Muslims would also do the same. The Muslims will follow them and they will go inside that hole dug in the wall. It means that they would trust them so much, they would basically believe in believe in the fact that whatever they are doing is truth, though we know that that is not. So the Muslims who imitate the West, this is what they do basically. They think that that is what the definition of normal is. That is what we are supposed to do, and they just follow them. Okay. So this is what is happening to us these days. We are going through a time where we have no rope, though we have power. We have some of the countries, like our country where I am residing right now, we are nuclear power. And that is the power Allah has given us. Still, we are not able to help any Muslims around the country, Gaza or any other countries that are basically under the rule of or under the oppression. Okay, also the other countries who are financially very powerful, the countries who have oil, even they are financially powerful, still they have no role and they are not doing anything. Basically they cannot, they are so suppressed. So this exactly is what we call as this exactly is what we call as yeah, this exactly is what we call as humiliation. Okay, this is what humiliation is and disgrace is and misery is, that we always have a lower hand and they basically have the upper hand now. Yes, the video of people dressed up in Halloween, these kind of videos used to come last year and the year before that as well. The people of Saudi, even the concerts that are happening these days in Saudi, etc. Even the videos that are coming yesterday and the day before yesterday, you might have seen of Egypt, the videos of some sort of concert or function that has happened in Egypt, and there are portrayals of devil and there is some kind of hypnosis going on, etc. You guys might have seen them. So that was also very scary if you look at them and find them and see them. So this is what is happening to our nations. They are following practices of the West. Also, you guys must have seen your prime minister, I guess, the prime minister of UK. He was in the temple and he was venerating those idols. He was giving them respect and putting those garlands in their necks, etc. I saw that video as well. It was circulating last week. So you guys must have seen it. If you haven't, you should, and you should find it out and watch it. So yes, exactly, Sadiq Khan. So this is what is happening in the world. This is how the Muslims are following the non-Muslims to the T. They're following them to the T. And they have no respect of their own values, their own Islamic values, their own Islamic framework, and their own belief system. So they are so underconfident in their own selves that they think that if they wouldn't follow the others, they would they would be very much behind the race, and they wouldn't be basically moving forward in the world. This is what they think. So, however, we know that Allah gave us izzah through Islam. Allah gave us honor through Islam. This is what this is what Hazrat Umar Razillah Ta'ala anhu said when he entered Jerusalem, when he was victorious over Sham, and he was walking in the sand while his servant was sitting on a horse. And this is how they entered Palestine, a very famous incident. You guys might be remembering it as well. So when they entered Palestine, and Hazrat Abu Ubaidah Amir ibn Jarrah, another Sahabi, who is also from Ashra Mubashara, the 10 promised Jannah, he was standing in front. He was already there. Basically, under his guidance, they were victorious over Palestine. So he came running to Umar Razila Ta'ala anhu, who was Khalifa at that time, who was a caliph, and one of the greatest and strongest caliphs that Islam saw. All of the world saw basically. So Umar Razila Ta'ala anhu, he was entering, and Abu Ubaidah came running to him and said that you shouldn't have entered like this, in this state that you are walking on earth. Your feet is filled with sand. There is sand on your shirt everywhere, and basically he came from such a long distance on the horse. They had only one horse which they were sharing. At one time, Hazrat Umar would walk, and the slave, he would sit on the horse, and the next, and they would take turns. Basically, they would take turns of walking and sitting on the horse. Definitely, this is how his condition would have been. So Abu Ubaidah said that your this is how your condition is. It's not looking nice, as the Caesar and the priest and all those Christians who were basically ruling over Palestine for such long time period. They are standing in front of us and they are watching you. And Umar Azallah Ta'ala said that how I wish this statement would have come from some other person rather than you. Basically, he was Sahabi and he was also the one promised Jannah, Abu Ubaidah. So Umar Razila Ta'ala said, I didn't expect it from you. And then he said that Allah gave us izzah through Islam. Allah gave us honor through Islam. And if we would seek it in something other than Islam, then we wouldn't find it. We wouldn't find it in anywhere other than Islam. If we seek it through money, if we seek it through westernizing ourselves or modernizing ourselves or secularizing ourselves, we will not find Izzah. The honor and Izzah is only in Islam. That is the reason why we are living in this situation of humiliation that we are in. Basically, the problem is more in the leaders of the Muslim world rather than in people in the nations. The nations, the people, they're still speaking out, but the leaders, they are not. Okay, even the people who were attending that concert, if I looked at them yesterday, that Egypt one, And I was so surprised at how could somebody go there and somebody attend these kind of things and basically going to all the wrong places. How can even somebody do that? We're moving to the next ayah. Inna lazina amanu. Indeed, those who have believed. Okay, this ayat is very important. One of those ayahs, ayat number 62. Let me introduce it first. This is the ayah which usually people take it's interpret it in a wrong way. Okay, this is one of those ayahs. This ayah is repeated, I think, twice in Quran Majid, once over here, and it will come later as well. So this is one of those ayahs which is sometimes not interpreted in the right way, in the correct manner, and people misuse it, use it in their own favor, and basically develop some wrong understandings out of these ayahs. This is one of those ayahs. So we need to understand this ayah correctly, okay? What exactly does it mean? We need to understand it correctly. And you guys need to focus on it, focus on the message of this ayah. So let me read this ayah and just read the translation and see if we have time, we'll cover the interpretation as well. So, so Allah is talking about some categories of people over here. The first category is the people of Iman. Inna lazina amanu. Certainly those who have believed. Wallazina hadu, and those who have become Jew. Okay. Hadu, those who have become Jew. So those who are Jews. Second category. Third is one Nasara and Christians. Fourth is was Swabiina and Swabians, right? So these are four categories of people. Next, Allah says, Man amana, whoever believed billahi in Allah, wal yawmil akhir, and the day of judgment, wa amila salihan, and they did good deeds, righteous deeds, falahum ajruhum, then they have their reward in the rabbihim, with their Lord. So they will have reward with their Lord. Wala, and what is the reward? Wala khawfun alayhim wala hum yahsanun. The statement that we have already studied. That they will not have any kind of fear upon them, nor will they grieve. We'll come to the reward later. And first, there are three parts of this statement. This whole ayah, there are three parts to it. The first is the four categories. So you guys know who the believers are, okay? You know who the Jews are. Jews were the people who basically they changed Torah. They had Torah, but they changed it, and they rejected prophecy, the prophethood of Isa alayhi salam. And then there are Christians. Christians are the people who rejected the last prophet, and they also changed their belief system, and they started believing in Trinity, etc. So all of them say that they are monotheists. Okay, they all of them they say they are monotheistic religions, but their belief systems are different now. So the Christians, most of them, they believe in Trinity and they reject Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Who are Sabi'in? Sabi'in are basically said to be the people of book as well. Okay. And it is said that these were the people who used to live in Iraq and they were followers of Ibrahim alayhi salam. And then they also basically disobeyed and they started worshipping stars, etc. They started to worship stars. So these were basically also the people of the book. That is why they are mentioned in this list. See if there is any other description of these people. Just 1 second, let me check in the index at the back of the book. 4 minutes left. The controversies about this, I think we might be talking about it in the next class. Okay, so at the back of this book, it also says that this refers to this is 1 second, number 26. Okay. The Sapiens are an indigenous group that believe in a supreme being and lives mostly in Iraq. All of these groups basically not going. Okay, now, can you hear now? I think yes. Okay, so these Sabians, I just checked in another book as well, just to make sure that what I'm telling you is right. Yes, this is right. What I was telling you, that these are the people who lived in Iraq. They were followers of Ibrahim alayhi salam. They were upon the religion of Ibrahim alayhi salam, but then they started worshipping the stars, etc. So these are the four people, four categories of people, four nations who were previously Muslims, okay, who had monotheistic religions, but later the three of them they changed, okay. And so Allah, the next thing Allah is saying, Allah is telling us what is required from them, all of these four categories. So whoever amongst these categories is number one, the believer in Allah. Number two, the believer in the day of judgment. Number three, they do good deeds. Okay, then there is reward for them. We'll talk about reward later. So, basically, what is the wrong interpretation that people take? People say that Allah has mentioned only three categories: belief in Allah, in day of judgment, and good deeds. So, if any Christian, they believe in Allah. Okay, they do believe in Allah, right? The Jews also believe in Allah. All of them, the Sabine as well, the Sabine, they do not exist in great numbers now, but they do exist. Okay? They do exist even now as well. So all of them, they believe in one supreme entity. Though many of them do shirk as well, but they believe that there is one supreme entity, and then there are partners to him. Nauzubillah. This is what they believe. So Allah is saying that if they believe in Allah, this is what they do. Okay. Number two, the day of judgment. So most of them, they believe in the day of judgment. The Jews, they would also talk about the day of judgment. Christians, they also talk about day of judgment, and then Sabi'in too. And the Jews and Christians are the common ones. We do not know a lot of Sabi'in people, and they are very less in number as well, as I told you. Okay, so the third thing is do righteous deeds. So many of them do righteous deeds. Many of them are good people. So will they go to Jannah now? By just fulfilling these three conditions, do they deserve the reward now? So these people who basically make this ayah controversial and they take the wrong interpretation, they say yes. They say that yes, only because of these three, if they fulfill these three categories, they will go to Jannah. But this is not how it is. This is not how we interpret this ayah. Okay. Why? Because it contradict with the message of the rest of the Quran, right? So inshallah we'll open this ayah more in the next class as the time is of an essence right now. Uh, See you next Thursday or Friday inshallah. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله